Welcome to Sheet Director. We're excited to introduce our innovative Google Workspace add-on. Simplify data exchange between apps with Sheet Director. You can query, post information from Google Sheets to apps, and keep everything in sync. In this video, we will see how Sheet Director can help you to automate the integration between Google Sheets and Google Calendar. Let's launch Sheet Director and choose Google Calendar from the available list of applications. I will name the service as Calendar Query Service. I'll then choose the service named Get Events, which gets the events from the Google Calendar. I'll choose a specific calendar from the list. And then select the required fields from the fields list. Moreover, I'll apply the filter for the start date as January 1st, 2020 and the end date as December 31st, 2025. Additionally, I'll also set the max results to 100, limiting the calendar events to 100. For the destination settings, I'll select the Query Events Sheet tab to present all the values from Google Calendar. By default, the values begins from cell A1. Also, we have the option to create a new sheet by clicking on the plus icon, and turn on or off the Include Header and Clear Sheet before getting the events. I will proceed to execute by clicking on the Execute button. Upon successful execution, we can see that the chosen fields from the list are effectively brought from the Google Calendar and seamlessly presented within the selected sheet. Now, let's look at how to create Google Calendar events from Google Sheets. Now, let's make another service and name as Calendar Post Service for creating calendar events from Google Sheets. I will choose Post Events as a service, and then I will select a specific calendar from the list. At this point, I have the choice to use an existing template or set up the process manually. For now, I'll opt for the template. Applying the template will automatically populate sample data to the spreadsheet, and it will establish automatic mapping using the template. This mapping guides us on where to place the resulting information in the status and result columns. In the sheet, you'll notice columns labeled Status and Result. These fields will provide you with the status of the posted records. If these fields are not there, these can be easily created by clicking on the plus button or choosing from the drop-down. The mapping aligns the fields between the sheet and the calendar. We can manually map by using the column drop-down. To create a new mapping, you can simply click on the plus icon. Deleting a field mapping is as easy as clicking the delete icon above each mapped field, except for mandatory fields. Feel free to use this sample template data and make any necessary updates. Now, I will proceed to execute by clicking on the Execute button. Initially, the status in the status column will indicate Ready to Post. Upon execution, the execution control panel will appear and tell us how many records are ready to post in the Google Calendar. At this point, we have two options, Post Now and Close. I will click on Post Now, which will create the events in Google Calendar. After successful execution, each record will be updated individually in the status and result columns. You can also notice the links to the created Google Calendar event. Clicking on these links will allow us to view the newly created events. Let's prepare a new service named Calendar Sync. This synchronizes the events between Google Sheets and Google Calendar. I'll choose Synchronize Events as a service type. The synchronized service allows users to automatically synchronize the events between Google Sheets and Calendar. I'll pick a particular calendar from the list and then select the necessary fields from the provided fields list. Then, I'll set up a filter where the start date will be January 1st, 2020, and the end date will be December 31st, 2025. To ensure efficiency, I'll also set the max results to 100, restricting to only 100 calendar events. The synchronization process requires the synchronized keys to match rows in Google Sheets with corresponding data in Google Calendar. You must select the synchronized keys in the fields list. It is essential to note that these keys are mandatory for the synchronization to occur. When there is a conflict between different data in Google Sheets and Google Calendar for the same event, either side needs to be overwritten to maintain the synchronization. You can opt for either Google Calendar wins or Google Sheet wins to choose which data to keep. In the Google Calendar wins scenario, the most recent data from Google Calendar will overwrite and update the corresponding event in Google Sheets. On the other hand, in the Google Sheet wins, the most recent data from Google Sheets will overwrite and update the corresponding data in Google Calendar. First, let me choose Google Sheet wins. Regarding the synchronization sheet, I will opt for the Sync Calendar Sheet tab, and by default, it will begin from cell A1. After configuring the settings, let us execute by clicking on the Execute button. The execution control panel will appear. If there are no records found in the Google Sheets to synchronize, then the sheet director will get the events for us. A prompt will appear, posing the question, "Your Google Sheet seems to be empty. Do you want to get the records from Google Calendar first?" At this point, two options will be presented, Get Now or Close. I will select the Get Now option, which will fetch the events from Google Calendar. If you already have calendar events data in Google Sheets, then you need to select or establish columns to display synchronization status and results. By clicking the plus symbol, I will add the status and result columns to the sheet and make any necessary updates to update the events. I will update the event title to Meeting with Jolly from Team Meeting. Subsequently, I will click the Execute button. Upon successful execution, the execution control panel will reappear with synchronization details. Number of new records found in Google Calendar. Total records that are ready to synchronize from the Google Sheet. How many records will be updated in the Google Calendar from the total records? Additionally, I will be asked, "Are you okay to synchronize?" This query is accompanied by two buttons, Sync Now and Close. I will opt for the Sync Now button. Throughout the execution process, each record will be updated individually within the Google Calendar. Upon successful update, the status column in Google Sheets will depict the status of the data. Newly updated data will be marked as synced successfully, while pre-existing data will be indicated as already synchronized. Once the synchronization is successful, a link to the updated Google Calendar event will be provided. Clicking on these links will allow us to view the updated events. Now, let me choose Google Calendar wins. Regarding the synchronization sheet, I will opt for the Sync Calendar Sheet tab, and by default, it will begin from cell A1. After configuring the settings, let us execute by clicking on the Execute button. After executing, the execution control panel will appear. If there are no records found in the Google Sheet to synchronize, then the Sheet Director will get the events for us. You can click on the Get Now button to get the calendar events. If you already have calendar events data in Google Sheets, then you need to select and establish columns to display synchronization status and results. By clicking the plus symbol, I will add the status and result columns to the sheet. Subsequently, I will click the Execute button. Upon execution, the execution control panel will reappear with the synchronization details. How many new records are found in Google Calendar? Total number of records that are ready to synchronize from the Google Sheet. How many records will be updated in the Google Sheet from the total records? Along with these details, I will also be asked, are you okay to synchronize? I will again click on the Sync Now button to continue the synchronization. Throughout the successful execution process, each record will be updated individually. The status column in Google Sheets will depict the status of the events. Newly updated events will be marked as synced successfully, while pre-existing data will be indicated as already synchronized. Also, the new events will be fetched from the calendar. Until this point, we observed the synchronization of Google Calendar events originating from cell A1. Now, let's modify the cell value to be 1 and proceed with the synchronization process. Let's execute by clicking on the Execute button. The execution control panel will appear. If there are no records found in the Google Sheets to synchronize, then the Sheet Director will get the events for us. I will click on the Get Now button to get the calendar events. If you already have calendar events data in Google Sheets, then you need to establish the status and result column for synchronization. Upon successful execution, the execution control panel will reappear with the synchronization details. Additionally, I will be asked, are you okay to synchronize? I will click on the Sync Now button to continue the synchronization. After successful synchronization, you can see the status of each record individually updated in the Google Sheets. In this way, you can synchronize data from any part of your Google Sheets. With Sheet Director, you effortlessly harness the magic of Google Calendar events. Seamlessly query, display, and transform your Google Calendar data right within Google Sheets.